All right, let's get into the weekly watch report where we talk about the things we watched this week. Weekly watch report on Monday. If I was talented, I would sing it in the White Lotus theme song, but I can't.
Ooh.
I can't.
You know that,
That we lost the whole jingle.
I know, because midway I thought, fuck!
Yeah.
I can't do it.
Well, that guy's
weekly
he's
watch
probably
report
looking for work
on
now.
Monday,
So.
weekly
Yeah,
watch
right,
report
he's out.
on Monday, weekly watch report on Monday, weekly watch report on Monday. Yeah, no, the composer's out now, so if he wants to come here and do the jingle for weekly watch report, we probably should just record it and play it every week.
No, I think it's better that it changes every week.
It's charming.
It's kind of like, what mood is she in this week?
Right. That's true.
Yeah. Okay, well, listen, I want to talk about White Lotus right off the bat, but I think I got to get the other stuff out of the way because we're going to spend a while talking about it, I assume. I had to watch Anyone But You on the plane yesterday for a second time. I just had to.
Yeah.
I saw it. The opportunity was there. And man, I loved it even better the second time.
Yeah,
I
it's a
really
great
did.
movie.
I think it's a great movie. I missed some things. So I was like watching on the plane. Both times I watched was on a plane now, but I paid attention a lot more this time, and I even liked it the first time. But this time I really was locked in, and I think it was partially because, now I'm rooting for them as a couple. But, God, what a film.
It's a great movie.
It's really a great movie.
Yeah.
I'm going to give it an A.
Yep.
I'm
Warm-hearted, fun.
Wow.
Lots
I
of
feel like you
laughs.
probably didn't even give it an A the
I
first
don't think
time.
so, but second watch,
watch made it better for her.
Yeah, really.
Well, I think now there's more like you're
No, but
buying into it.
I was like crying at it. I was like, oh my God, this is so cute. I guess I cry at a lot of things, but whatever. Love it. Summer House.
We watched on the plane.
We did watch on the plane. Live.
Yeah.
Television on the plane.
It's the toe thing is just really being amped up into like a big thing.
Yeah,
in a
this
big
Jesse
storyline.
Solomon storyline.
Yeah.
I don't hate it like a lot of other people do. I think people
No.
I think people despise it, but I'm also not totally interested. Like it's running a little long for me.
Yeah, and I think it's very fair to say that Jesse maybe sold Lexi a little bit of a different story,
Right.
I think when it was just him and Lexi, he was so obsessed with her, telling her everything she wanted to hear, and then maybe not acting that way when Lexi wasn't around.
Right.
Obviously, we saw what was happening for some of these moments.
And I think if it was any of the other girls, okay, so say Sierra and Lexi are switched right now, and Sierra is the one becoming exclusive with Jesse, and he doesn't tell Sierra about the toe thing, but tells her he wants to be exclusive and then sleeps with her that night. People would be losing their goddamn minds.
Right,
because they would be like,
I think
that's
the
so
house would have a
disrespectful.
different reaction,
They
too.
would have a different reaction. Now, I think because Lexi is new and they're not as close with her, there's not so much of a large reaction to it, which, they're not that close with her. So you are more protective of your other friends, but it's still not right. Like, he chose to keep things from her that he knew would upset her, and then was able to sleep with her. And she was clearly hurt by that. She, you can feel however you want to feel about Lexi, if you think she's interesting, uninteresting, whatever. It is a little sad when someone is very honest about how they are in relationships and the way they work in that sense. And then it kind of gets like taken advantage of.
Yeah.
It is disappointing to see. Overall, I'll give it like a C+. I find it entertaining every week. It's just nothing crazy is really happening.
Yeah, I don't care for like the Lindsay and Carl stuff too. I don't know what it is. It's just like I know it wasn't that long ago because it really wasn't, but it just feels so far removed now, just from where they are in their lives.
Because Lindsay's having she got
Yeah, she
pregnant
had a
pretty
baby.
quickly
Yeah,
after and is having a baby.
Yeah.
So it's like, let's just move on.
So it's just
from
like
this.
it's seeing her get upset about a potential DM from this girl.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just like, I don't know. And apparently that girl did share that she sent the DM in October and it wasn't August. I don't know. So and I sometimes I'm like, what's Gabby doing? Because sometimes I feel like she really kind of like gets Lindsay riled up a little bit when maybe she needs the opposite.
Yeah. She needs to be more like, listen, he's an asshole. Who cares? You moved on with your life. You have this exciting new chapter. Like, kind of like give her that more energy rather than Carl was a cheater.
Like, he sent that. Oh, he totally responded to that DM. It was August, blah, 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 whatever was going on. I don't know. So, Yeah, that's fair though for Summer House.
Yeah. Southern Charm reunion
Part 2.
part 2. I mean, did we ever think we'd be in a place, and maybe I'm in the minority here, that we feel bad for Austin Kroll? Because I felt a little sad for him, not gonna lie. I feel like
so fair.
Craig was clearly reacting in a place of being hurt by his relationship and everything. And the way that he was just like, well, we just won't be friends to Austin, I was like, it kind of just feel like it's his way or like whatever. And I felt bad for Austin in that moment. And like Austin was saying when he sat here with us, I do feel like Austin has grown a bit. He doesn't talk about how much he's grown, but I think you could see a little bit how he's grown.
Mm-hmm.
So I felt a little sad for him in the moments with the Craig situation. It wasn't a good part 2 for Craig, let's be honest.
Yeah.
And I think, it came off of, it was like kind of around the time of everything happening, and I think he was probably in a not so great spot.
100%.
And the
lawyer lying
thing was incredibly bizarre, because he said he didn't ever lied on camera, and then they showed it, and then he still was like, well, I didn't, and it was like, no, you clearly lied, and Andy kind of called him out for that, and he seemed like he was in a weird spot, and I didn't like watching it.
Yeah, I don't think that was the best version.
It wasn't a good showing.
Yeah, I don't think that was the best version of Craig at all. And like you said, definitely going through a lot in that moment. And we know when they filmed that reunion, there was just a lot of outside stuff going on too. And I think that was a big struggle for him. He seemed a little checked out when you're having those conversations. And as a friend, that's one of the most frustrating things, is when you're maybe arguing with a friend, or you just want to, address certain types of behavior, and you're just saying how you feel. You're just trying to explain to that person how you feel. Austin's just trying to explain to Craig how he feels.
Yeah.
And when your friend's reaction is not hearing you and trying to understand, it's like instead you get, well, if you think that about me, then maybe we shouldn't be friends.
Right.
If you think that about me, then maybe we're just not friends.
Yeah.
And you're like, no, I'm
it's
coming from a
just-
place because I am your friend and I want to help.
Yeah.
And when you just like dismiss me, like, actually, then let's not be friends.
Yeah.
You're like, see, like, this is why I don't bring anything up, because I'm
And
afraid of how you're gonna react.
Right. And like no apology from Craig or anything.
Yeah.
Like, Craig could just be like, oh, I'm sorry I made you feel that way. And whatever. And if Austin is still difficult, then maybe, don't be. But at this point, it was just like an immediate reaction. And then the only time I've ever agreed with Shep, really, was he was like, Craig, like, you were going through like the Adderall and the addiction. Like, it's okay to say that you lied. Like, which he was right. Like, it's okay to be like, I did lie about that, and you know what? Everyone knows
I was not in a good
place. I was addicted to Adderall. I was doing all these things. I was lying about that. It's okay to own those things. People should 100% be able to make mistakes and change them and grow from them as years go on, or else. I mean, everybody has, like, or else everyone would be the same all the time. That's no good either. So, like, if Craig was sitting there being like, yeah, you're right. Like, I was in a bad place when I was lying during those times. And, I try not to be that person anymore. Like, totally different. But instead, he just continues to lie. It just wasn't a good showing. And it really wasn't a good showing, honestly.
Yeah.
But I think it was around that time of, he was going through
I think it was
breakup
just
and
so many different things,
so
going
many
around
different
for
levels
him.
to it. But I'll give that reunion a C+ as well.
Yeah. He was on the defense a little bit too
Yeah.
much, which is tough. And I don't blame him, because it is hard as well when you're with a group of people and you're going to get defensive because you feel like everybody is coming at you a little bit. And
everyone's saying they're scared
everyone's
of
saying
him.
you're scared. Like, yeah, exactly. They're like, oh, we're all scared of you. And then I'd be like, oh, like, come on, guys, really?
Right.
Like,
You're like, now you're making me seem like a monster.
Yeah,
Everyone's scared of me.
Yep.
So there is
Yep.
that point of like
Yep.
getting really defensive.
Yep.
And, when everyone's gaining up on you, but then you also have to own up to some
I wish
things.
he did handle
Just
that
a
with
little
Austin
bit
differently.
just a little bit better, but going through a hard time. So and then the White Lotus. So the finale was Sunday night. Everybody was waiting for it, amping up, all the theories going on and on about it. And I'm still digesting it, I feel. I feel like I'm still taking it in.
That's fair.
I don't even know where to begin. I guess I don't know where to begin.
Yeah. Well, first of all, I guess we'll slap a spoiler warning if you haven't watched it yet.
Spoiler warning.
Because I know, which is crazy to me, because this was the one thing that I'm like, if you're not watching this on Sunday night, you're toast.
For sure.
Like, you can't open social media. It's literally everywhere.
Even from the actors themselves.
Yeah, exactly. They're posting everything. I don't know. I go back and forth because I think that the show, like the finale, it was an hour and a half. So you hear hour and a half and you're waiting for like these big moments to happen. And I don't know if maybe everyone's expectations are so high, but having it be like a full hour into the episode, really, even almost a little bit more before there was murder.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, God. I don't know. I just want, like, I think they did tie up a lot of stories, storylines. I understand that. But at the same time, I felt that there could have been so much more at the end with everybody. Like, all of a sudden, it was just like people died. Now everybody's left the resort.
Right. Well, and I think
all in like 10 minutes.
Right. And I think I actually have come around greatly on the fact that I got so attached to these characters more than I even thought that I was originally. And I really appreciate the show for what it is rather than trying to make it to be something else in my head. Like, this show is really it's a deep dive into these characters with a murder on the side. It is not supposed to be really a murder mystery show. It's supposed to be, I think, a deep dive on people and rich people and this life rather than a whodunit type of thing. It just has a murder. It just has a little murder sprinkled into it. And I think when you think of it like that, you appreciate it a lot more, because there's a lot of complaints about like, well, nothing happened with these people, nothing happened with that. Well, no, there are lessons, I think, in between all of it. Like the three women, right? There, it's like, okay, well, their storyline was wrapped up because it's three best friends who grew up together. They're going to talk shit about each other. They're going to talk behind each other's back. At the end of the day, what happened? They're all still friends, and they all came together.
And it is
end.
funny though that
and
when
it's
the
like,
shooting happened, she ran away immediately. Like, did you see that?
Yeah.
I forget their names, but she like left her friends to like.
Well, I mean,
possibly
they all
get shot.
ran.
No, but like I think it was like symbolic of like she was like they're like, we love each other, and then she runs away immediately. Like, doesn't even think about her friends.
I feel like all three of them ran away pretty fast.
Yeah, I thought they ran.
She was
too.
like,
which
well
one are
ahead of
you
them.
even saying ran away first?
Jacqueline, the
one who was
celebrity?
crying? Like, no.
Oh, Lori.
Yeah.
Oh, I mean,
I
they
didn't
all
I didn't pick up on that.
they
She was
all
like-
looked pretty shocked and all started running.
Yeah.
But yeah,
I feel like that storyline was tied up nicely because it was sort of just, like I think there's lessons in between all of them rather than like a nothing happened here.
Yeah.
And I grew to really love these characters. Like I think, was it my favorite season? No, but I think I got more attached to these characters for some reason and I want to see more of them. I mean, the family, I think people obviously wanted to see what happens when they find out they're poor, but that's not the kind of show that the White Lotus is. They don't really give the go home and find out how everyone
Yeah, I think
reacts
it's more
to
about
things.
the anxiety.
Right. It's like and then it leaves you wondering kind of how they'll feel. But do I wish there was a little more in the first hour? Yeah, but I think the more you digest it and look back on it, you just think more about the characters and the lessons and the deep dive into that rather than like the action pack. I mean, the dialogue on this show I think is just fantastic.
Yeah,
like the writing is so good, but it's not. I think people want, and I don't know how to word this correctly because I think Mike White is a genius. But I think people want him to be even more of a genius than he actually is. Where they're like, they want him to come up with something that nobody could possibly fathom ever remotely happening, or nobody could ever think of this theory.
Yeah.
When you have people speculating every minute, every hour of the day of this show, somebody's going to be right. There's theories all over the place. It's just now with the way that the conversation around TV with TikTok, Twitter, whatever, there's just so much more conversation to be had and people throwing their theories, whatever, that like somebody eventually is going to come up with something. There are still surprises, but like there's going to be something that people get right. And like, I think they expect Mike White to pull something out of his ass that no one could ever possibly pull from their brains. And it's like, well, no, he's trying to make it a little bit more realistic than you think. I don't think he's trying to do these major like plot twists. There's a lot of foreshadowing in the show that people are like, oh, spoiler, this theory spoiled. No, there was actually foreshadowing in the show. The amount of times Chelsea was like, oh, bad things happen in threes, and you know, all these things she was saying, the snake bite and all that, like when you look back, you're like, oh, that was all like a, you know.
Yeah, definitely. I also think that each season is so different and similar, and like they're similar and different in the same way, where I think people were more surprised by the end of the second season and therefore expected the same kind of thing to happen for the third season when it was just kind of a different story being told, and money really, once again, it's, you know, it is so money driven, and that is such a big part of it. It's like when you think about it in that aspect, it is so clear where they were really going with so much of it, right? It's like, you know, the Ratliffs, they don't have money. He was literally going to kill them all.
I was cracking up at that scene.
Didn't. I know. When she was like, there's a whole shelf of wine. Like,
I genuinely was losing my mind laughing.
Yeah.
I was like, oh my God, he's going to kill them all.
But then I don't know. There was just a couple things with the family that just fell a little short for me, in the sense that, and I know everyone's like, oh, I really wanted to know what happened to them. And like, I get it, that's not really the point, but I know everyone kind of has that desire. But I don't know if it was like, because, like you said, because there's so many people talking about it, and if you open TikTok, there's 9 million theories, and everybody's saying, oh, I think this is going to happen, I think this is going to happen, that then when you watch it and it does happen, you're kind of like, oh, like, yeah, he did take the fruit and the whole thing. And of course, obviously, you know, what happened with Lachlan, it's like you didn't really see that coming and whatever. But I felt like there were so many, like, that just felt a little disorganized to me, in the sense that, like, I guess it was supposed to maybe, but, oh, the fruit, they all drank it, but then they were fine, but then they weren't supposed to be fine.
They took little sips,
it was only a sip, but then maybe he drank more, but he was still fine.
Right.
So I was like, I don't know. I didn't necessarily love the way that all wrapped up for them. The Rick one I thought was totally going to happen. What?
I felt that way about everything. I was just like, even when Chelsea got shot, I'm like, oh, like, it just seemed like, oh, let's just wrap this up somehow. Like, she gets shot because of him.
Yeah, but I think that one was way less. I felt that one was way more symbolic.
Yeah, that one tied into the whole story though. Yeah. Chelsea, like, the only thing she ever thought about was Rick. Like, her tunnel vision was on Rick, and she put this guy before herself, who really didn't show he cared about her until the final moments when she died. I think showed a lot, where it's also, I think, a lesson in, like, if you can let go of the past, you know, if you hold on to the past, it's going to hurt you.
Yeah, I thought the Belinda thing was good, though, that she did exactly what Jennifer Coolidge did.
Yeah, she ends up like Tanya.
And it's like, yeah, people will just take the money.
Let's just throw it out there. Her son, one of the worst acting.
Oh, really? You think?
Oh my God, I thought, like, I actually was cracking up because while I was watching, I was like, man, I think he's a horrible actor.
Really?
But at the same time, then because like people were like, oh, Disney Channel actor. I do think, though, part of it is like, he's a sophomore in college who's studying business, so it's very like cringy, corny, like,
because I thought he was trying to act like, his character was trying to act like,
older and like a business guy, but still, so I think it was part of his character, but kind of made it seem like he was a bad actor, but it was really because he was like a cringy sophomore in college who's studying business.
Yeah, he didn't bother me at all, really. I thought that made a lot of sense, and yeah, that's a tough one for Belinda. She pulled, it just goes back to like what money makes people do, and power, and the same kind of thing with Guy talking Mook, like she clearly wanted him to like get that promotion and be more important. And of course, when that happens, money is involved. Now you're gonna get a raise. Like all of a sudden, you're her head of security. Like
that was funny when he's driving.
You're gonna have the more money. And I feel like that was just another one where she was pushing him all season to, get care more and get like tougher and like, oh, you have a gun now, you can shoot the gun and all these things. And when he got the opportunity to shoot Rick, he did, and he got rewarded for it.
Yeah, I thought that Mook was going to have a bigger role because she's Lisa.
Right.
And I was like, oh.
No
bigger role.
Yeah.
It really was of a smaller role.
She was just the motivating factor for him, I think, to really lose a lot of the moral compass that he had, and maybe like this job wasn't for him, but he is so infatuated with this girl that he's going to do whatever it takes, including murder.
Yeah. I thought the robbers were sort of pointless. That it kind of turned out to be
that one
pointless
ended
to me.
up
like I was like, really, nothing's gonna
Yeah,
like
it's
Lori.
like, they need the money.
Lori's
like,
not gonna
Right.
tell her friends about the stolen jewelry.
I know,
Like,
which is why I guess it's just like another thing of like the money, right? It's like a lot of times it feels like on White Lotus, Mike White goes with the path of like those that are devious and like morally compromised, things work out for them. And it's like, oh, we'll watch these guys who have no money rob the hotel, but they get away with it.
Right.
You know?
And it kind of just felt like I thought something was bigger was going to happen.
A lot,
with
like
them.
even Sam Rockwell, like I loved him and I love Sam Rockwell, but a lot of I'm like, oh, like what was the point of all that? Like it was just he just partied with him for like a night.
Yeah, I don't think that Rick's dad had the big that maybe they thought it was gonna have. Like I
well,
really
just the problem
don't
was,
think
everyone predicted. Like it's like you knew,
I just didn't
that's gonna
care
be Rick's
about
dad.
Rick being upset about that his dad was killed. Like I don't know why, because I felt like it just had nothing. Like I don't know why that whole storyline to me. I was like, I just don't think I really care about Rick's dad being killed, to be completely honest, and how he's upset about it. I loved Chelsea as a character a lot. And
same.
And, how she talked to Rick and whatever, I thought had a lot of meaning behind it.
Saxon.
And Saxon, and I wanted to see, and this is the other thing that you have to accept, like, as this show, is like, you're not going to see the reactions you want to see. Would we have loved to have seen how Saxon reacts to Chelsea's death? Yes. Like, did he even know she died? Like, we just see them on the boat. We don't even know she died. But I thought Saxon, those moments when he's looking back on Chelsea, just like the facial acting, the more the reactionary rather than like the actual acting. And I mean, how sad that Lachlan, it really, and I read this in the article that they did with the Hollywood Reporter. Mike White was like, yeah, people think this season's about incest. It's not. It's really just about a kid who like wants to do the things that that he thinks his family loves. And one of those things is Saxon's always talking about sex and whatever. So like Lachlan thought, oh, like my brother will like me if I'm, get sexy with him. And like he literally said to his brother, like, no, I just want to I'm a people pleaser.
And then he wants to stay with her, and then she's like, actually, fuck it, I don't want to stay anymore.
Yeah, so he just like wants to do what his sibling, he just wants to be accepted by his siblings, which actually was just sad because like for a little bit, you thought that maybe he was just a freak, but he really just wants to be accepted.
Yeah.
Which I felt so sad when he was gonna die. I was like, oh my god, this is actually really sad.
That was so funny when Piper was saying like, I'm superficial, like I can't do it, and the mom was just like, so
that was
proud.
like my favorite part.
That was amazing.
I was cracking up. She was so good. Parker Posey was really so good. But yeah, in Victoria, she's just like, oh.
Yeah.
She
takes her to go shopping.
Every superficial thing out of her mouth, she was like, oh, amazing.
Yeah.
It was like, oh, and the food. Oh yeah, you can't eat that food.
No, and she's like, we have to take
The
advantage of
beds.
it.
Yeah.
And then takes her shopping.
Yeah,
And she's like, if it makes you happy, get it. Like, it's just, that whole thing was so good. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot to be desired, but I feel like we all just have to accept that that's what this show is now, because now going into the third season, like, okay, in the second season, some of the characters come back. So you're like, oh, we get to see some of the characters.
Right.
So then in the third season, you're like, oh, well, will we see some of those? We just have to accept that once this season's done, we have to say goodbye to these characters. And if they come back, that's great. And we get to see some of those characters again. But it's kind of like we have to wipe our hands clean. I mean, thinking back to the first season, you're like, whatever happened? Did they get divorced? Did they not get divorced?
No,
you don't know.
You do feel that way with every season.
You feel that way
really.
after every season ends. But then you think somehow it's going to change. It's not. It's kind of the same format every time. You don't get to see those
Right.
reactions that you want to see.
It's within the time limit of the vacation.
Right.
And it's like, oh, you don't. That's
don't
what
see them when they
happens.
go back home.
You don't know
That's-
what's going on when they're not on the vacation.
Right. That's not the point of the show.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I think there's a lot to be desired, but
Yeah.
also some.
I know.
that-
I'm so torn. Like, it's like
I go back. Yeah.
I appreciate it a lot, and I think it's great, and I think the show is so well done, so well written. But at the same time, like, the episode didn't end, and I wasn't like, wow, that was amazing.
Yeah.
Right.
You
I
know?
kind of just went right to bed.
Yeah.
Like,
It's
I was
definitely
like,
my
yeah.
least favorite of the
Yeah.
three.
And yeah, I feel like I got so attached to these characters, and I think that was another part of it where I'm like, I'm so attached to these characters, but it's not my favorite season, but I like have a
Yeah.
desire to know them more and want to see more of them. But it is it's a back and forth in the head. It's
It
like
is.
accepting the show for what it is and appreciating the writing for it. And then the other part of like, we all always want like something more. We all want something juicier or something big,
Yeah.
but it is what it is, sort of thing. I think there's just a lot of lessons in it, and I think the more you deep dive in it, I think it ages well. I think the White Lotus really ages better than the initial reaction that first night.
Definitely. And it goes into what we've been saying all season 2 after we watch an episode. It's you watch the episode, and then what has made the show so great is there was such a discourse about it online, but because there was such a great discourse about it, everyone was like, oh, all these symbols, all these things are adding up. So it wasn't quite that big shock. But at the same time, you see all that symbolism, and it is really cool, and it is art, and it is very impressive. And even I was watching a TikTok before of some guy bringing it down of just the difference between the scene of the kids on the boat on the way there and how they're all sitting versus the kids on the boat on the way back and how they're sitting. And when Rick and Chelsea fell into the water, that they were literally shaped like the yin and yang. And she had always been saying, we're like the yin and yang, and we connect. And just there's so many different things that you're like, wow, so much goes into it. And so much thought goes into it. It is really smart.
Yes, that makes you appreciate it so much more after you watch it rather than while you're watching
exactly. Like, you're not expecting to be like, oh my God, something so shocking, the Ratliff father took the gun and shot 8 people in the hotel. Like, it's, it's just, it's not gonna.
You know what would have been a bang though?
There's really all these lead ups to show you what is going to happen.
If he just jumped off the boat when he was looking out on the water, if he just jumped off the boat and it ended,
Yeah.
like if that, I would be like, oh shit. That would have been like a whoa. But
But I mean, if you really think about it, it is crazy, and it makes sense, even though people are like, oh, nothing, you want to see what happens with them. It's like, no, his whole story was, would he literally kill his entire family because they don't have money? Like, how important is money to this rich family that he would straight up kill all of them because they could not live without the money that they have?
yeah, and they all
And he
said it.
couldn't
They
do
all made it a point. They're like, we can't. I
then
couldn't live without the
Yeah.
money. And the one
One
that
who
said he could,
actually
Yeah.
almost died.
he was gonna.
Yeah.
He was gonna save him, and then he almost
Yep.
actually died.
Yep.
But the one thing I do hate though, so much, is people online that are like, well, if you didn't think that this was fantastic, then this show just
I
isn't
hate
for
those
you.
people.
Yeah, no,
The
for
people
sure,
that
for
same thing
sure,
with
for
Sex.
the
sure.
people that gatekeep TV shows and act like, well, if
get it.
you don't get it. You're just not it's not for the intellectually challenged. Like, that's literally how people act. I'm like, okay, get off your fucking high horse. Because
Yeah.
even Mike White himself has said, like, some things are not the way that people are trying to make them seem. Like, they're really just straight. They're pretty straightforward. And then there are themes and symbolism that do tie into it. It's not like people have to stop doing the
No, but there are
gatekeeping
for sure
of
people. There's a lot of reaches. For
what
sure.
of the TV shows of like, well, you just don't get it. It's like, okay, well, shut the fuck up, because
Yeah.
everyone can have an opinion about the show. Everyone's allowed to watch it.
Yeah.
It's out there. So I'll give it a B+ because I wasn't obsessed with it, but I did like it.
Yeah,
So I'll give it a B+.
fair. My My grade I'd probably give it a, if I'm going to be true to myself, I'll probably give it a B.
That's what I'm giving.
Like,
it.
it is really good. I enjoyed the season a lot. So well done. The acting was fantastic. The writing was fantastic. I think that it just moved. My personal preference is to have a little bit more, like a little more fast paced. Even if the finale was just a little more fast paced, I think I would have come around to it. But
it was slow, and
it was slow. It was slow, and I know that it was slow for a big setup at the end. And those last 10 minutes were very gratifying for everybody that wanted, something to happen and have these big moments. But I would have loved that action to have been dragged out a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Where it's like you really see
just all
the
happened in the last couple moments, and then it was over. Yeah,
and then it was over, which I'm sure was purposeful, but my personal taste would have liked for it to be a little longer. So I'll go with a B for the finale. Summer House, I'll give an B minus. I thought there was more going on in this episode. The kickball whole situation made me laugh. I thought that was funny. Southern Charm reunion, I'll give a C plus, probably in that range too. It's not nothing too crazy to wrap up the season. I started the studio. I watched the first 2 episodes. I haven't watched the third one yet. I'm behind on the second half of all TV that came out in the second half of the week.
Me too.
Behind it because we were
same.
traveling.
I watched
Me
the
too.
So
studio
I haven't
yesterday.
So the studio, I haven't watched. The pit, I haven't watched.
Yeah.
So the studio, but I did watch the first 2 episodes. So I'll give that. Honestly, I'll give that an A minus. Really good. I really liked it.
Mm-hmm.
I really, really liked it. I thought that second episode was so good.
Yeah.
The whole one shot, it was really, really great. I'm also behind on Righteous Gemstones because it does come on right after White Lotus. Yeah. But last night it was White Lotus went long, so then I caught up with last week's Righteous Gemstones, which I will give I'll give that an A minus too. I thought that was a very funny episode. It was the one with them on the lake when they were trying to break up.
I need to catch up on it.
They were trying to break up their dad and Lori, and I just thought it was very, very funny. Judy was cracking me up. She is so fucking funny.
She's the funniest character.
And Walton Goggins naked for a lot of this last season.
Walton
Let me tell you,
hot in the street right now.
My God, he is naked, very naked in this in Righteous Gemstones. I watched the Long Island serial killer documentary on Netflix because Go-Go Beach.
Yeah.
And
my God, I have to watch that.
Oh my God, did they fuck that up so badly? Like, he was right under their noses, and they have a bunch of and corrupt Suffolk County police and the shit that was going on, and it was
the picture of him on the train?
Yeah.
That's my cousin's picture that he took of him and posted on his Instagram years ago.
Crazy.
Yeah.
That is so crazy.
Isn't that insane?
It's so crazy because
when it was caught,
it
was like, oh my God, I posted a picture of this man on the train.
Yeah. And these people really just I felt so bad for these girls' families because they fought so hard for them to be seen, and they just did not get the attention that they deserved because of their profession and the things that they were doing, and because they were sex workers. Felt like they just didn't give them the right amount of attention when it came to trying to find it. Like, the fact that one of these women, they knew exactly what her last spot was. They knew exactly where her last location was. Mm-hmm. And it took them 18 months or something to finally search the marsh that she was last seen at. And the cop's like, the marsh is it's tough to get in the marsh. And I'm like, what? That's it. They were like,
crazy.
They were like, yeah, the marsh is just high and wet, and we couldn't search it. 18 months?
That's insane.
You knew exactly that she just you knew that she was last seen literally
just
at
lazy.
The marsh. And there's also these 2 guys that lived with one of the girls, and they gave the police the exact description of him because he was at their house and she was scared and she called her friends to come back to get the guy to leave, and they came. And when she was murdered, they were like, she had a guy come recently. We had to get him out. We did not. It was a bad situation. Full description of the guy, everything. And it was him. And it was like 10 years that he gave before they gave the description. They gave the description 10 years before.
I gotta watch that.
I thought it was really well done. I will give that a B plus. I was pretty locked into that. And then I watched The Life List on Netflix, which is a new Sophia Carson movie, which, by the way, she is like Netflix romance, really her niche.
Mm-hmm.
She crushes it. This movie was really sweet. I cried. Oh my God, it got me. Connie Britton as her mom. It was so good. If you haven't seen it, really the premise is, it's a young girl, mom gets sick, sadly passes, but she finds a bucket list that young, Sophia's character had written when she was like 13 and was like, I need you to do all of these things basically. And, made video messages for each thing. Is really, really sweet. Obviously a romance. Really great. I don't know too much about Kyle Allen, but my God, will I deep dive into whoever the next Netflix romance. You give me a new guy. That's how I found Nicholas Galtzine was the first one I watched. Purple Hearts, and I was like, oh, so also Sophia Carson movie.
Yeah.
And he's absolutely adorable. And now he's coming on my TikTok all the time. He's a dancer.
Ooh.
Ballet. He's doing all these ballet moves. He's very impressive. He was in West Side Story as well. But really sweet movie. I really liked it a lot. Very heartwarming. I was like trying not to cry, but it still got me where I was like, oh my God, very sweet. I'll give it. Honestly, I really liked it. B plus.
I was on the edge of my seat there.
Yeah. I'm between an A minus and a B plus, but I think I'll go B plus. And that's everything I watched.
I finished Running Point, the season 1. It was fun. It was
it's
good.
a fun ride.
It's a
yeah,
fun
it's
watch.
like super
Easy
corny,
watch.
obviously,
It's cute.
but
It's
like,
easy.
I enjoyed it. I'll give it a B minus. The rest of the season. Celtics episode 5. Give that an A. It's like when Larry Bird's winning, so it's pretty awesome.
So obviously
It's
pretty sick.
Yeah.
The studio episode 3. That's just like, I think that's gonna be an A all season long, maybe an A plus.
Wow.
It's an A right now. Just like the cameos and seeing these like actual directors, and there's another director in this episode.
Oh, yeah.
Like their acting is so good. And,
I mean,
like,
seeing Scorsese in the
It's crazy.
other was
He was,
crazy.
like,
Like
he should get
Scorsese was
nominated.
so good.
Yeah. Like I'm actually shocked at like it's like the Entourage thing where you're playing like yourself but a different version of
Yeah.
yourself. So yeah, it's an A. I went to the movie theater yesterday.
Wow.
Yeah, and saw Black Bag, the Michael Fassbender movie.
Okay.
Very good. Very good. And it's quick. It's like an hour and a half movie. Solid. I'll give that an A minus.
Wow.
Like,
I don't even know what this movie is. I'm not gonna
Kate
lie.
Blanchett, Michael Fassbender. There's a ton of actors in it.
I love Michael Fassbender.
Yeah, he's always great.
That's a solid grade.
And it's kind of like, I don't know how you would describe it.
It has a 96% Rotten
Yeah.
Tomatoes.
It's like, yeah, it's a thriller, but it's kind of
It's
I guess
probably-
they're spies. I'm not really sure you would call them.
When
but
his beloved wife Catherine is suspected of betraying the nation, intelligence agent George Woodhouse faces the ultimate test: loyalty to his marriage or his country.
Yeah, and what's his face from Bridgerton is in it. People are always saying he's not doing
Reggae
anything
John
else.
Page.
Yeah, he's in it. Pierce Brosnan. It's a good cast. And so yeah, I'll give that an A minus. And then the White Lotus, I'll give it a B.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely my least favorite out of the 3. But like if I'm just judging it on like I'm watching this one season, never saw the other ones, like it's still a solid show.
Solid, very
Like,
solid. Yeah.
I
totally.
think season 1 might be my favorite, honestly. Like the more I think about it.
I loved season 1.
Yeah,
I don't know, something about season 2. Maybe it's just because it was in Italy.
Right.
I think that plays
And
a
I
big
mean,
factor.
Theo James.
Yeah, yeah.
I feel like
Yeah.
every time I think about season 2, I'm like, but Theo James and Aubrey Plaza were in it.
Yeah.
I prefer like the seasons to be self-contained. Like I don't need like callbacks and crossovers of like I'd rather just be like, this is a completely new season.
Right.
Like, oh, we're not talking about Jennifer Coolidge or like I just want completely.
Well, because it
fresh
is
slate.
interesting because it's like you don't get every story continuation.
No.
It's obviously just what Mike White wants to continue.
Mm-hmm.
So that
But I feel like
is
people
a little.
love Jennifer
No, but I'm
Coolidge
saying that
so much that it was like, we have
100%.
to.
It's like a fan. I don't know if it's
Yeah.
fan reaction or honestly, I think it's how much he loves the character. Mike White said he
Yeah.
loved that character so much that he wanted to keep it going. You know, so it's like, oh, there is a little bit of a frustration where some characters, you know, you're never going to hear from them again, but Greg's storyline has
Yeah.
continued through it all.
You said this
Right.
in a text, like, if they made an all-star season, that'd be so cool.
That
like, if
would-
they
Yeah,
made, like,
it
the
would.
best characters from each
Yeah,
season.
that would. I mean, that would be amazing if they did that. I would be
I could
into
see that. It's like they
Yeah.
invite them back. They're like, hey, we know that you had problems with your last day. There were murders. Like, we want to invite you out to this hotel. Like, for...
Or they don't even address it. They just all end up having to
Yeah.
go. They go to another.
Yeah.
I don't know, but
Yeah. No, but very, solid.
yes,
For sure.
All right, that wraps up everything we watched.